welcome to You Rising. I'm your host, Lorianne Rising. I'm an international award-winning author and a spiritual and intuitive mentor. And today is Mentorship Monday, where we get to chat with somebody who has questions or is looking for support. And I'm excited to share that with you. I'm also excited. Today is International Women's Day. And for me personally, I have to say it's sort of like a second birthday, because in 2013, that's when I changed my name. I chose my last name deliberately. It took several years to choose, and got to claim who I wanted to be and become. So I can officially say I am rising, which was pretty fun to say. But the first time I walked out of the courtroom and got to share that with somebody, it was International Women's Day. And so it was just perfect. And today it feels perfect again, because I have the amazing opportunity to share a part of myself and begin integrating a part of me for the first time that I haven't been as open about before. And that's more of the channeling. And so with me today is Renee Spears, and she is a law of attraction mentor, spiritual advisor, and podcast host who helps people be happy and attract more love, money, and joy in their lives. And I am so grateful, Renee, that you're here with me today. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and happy second birthday.
Thank you. Hopefully this one won't age me quite like the first one has, but
exactly.
We'll see how that goes. Maybe this one will keep me younger. I don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to start first and foremost with just share a little bit about what drew you to this conversation, what's going on, or what question you have, or, just really how can I be of support to you?
Well, I have lived in my house in downtown Portland for about 4 years now. And the past few months, I've been feeling this urge to move. And more than one time, it's come up about Montana or Idaho or that part of the country. And so I wanted just a little bit of guidance around that. And also, as you know too, Lori, I have been wanting to attract a soulmate. So I'm feeling like the soulmate is getting closer to, and I just kind of wanted a little bit of guidance on one, moving, where and when and all that. And then of course, we all want to know when we're going to meet our soulmate. So any guidance on things that may be getting in my way of meeting this person or anything like that. So any sort of light that you can shed on these two topics, I would greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, let's just take them one at a time. You mentioned the moving first. And when you said it, the first thing that came to mind was, just a big yes, that's supported. And, just from the sound of your voice, even, it just sounds like that's, and if it keeps coming up, at least in my world, that's something really to pay attention to. Like, it just keeps bubbling up. Like, that's like, okay, there's a push there. And honestly, what came to my mind was Montana might be a better fit. I could picture you there. I couldn't picture you in the other places you mentioned. It just kind of felt off somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel about each one? Is there one that stands out more to you?
If I had to choose one just off the top of my head with the feeling, I would choose Montana, just because it feels more in congruence, with, and actually of all the messages and signs that I've kind of gotten, they all are pointing to Montana. So So yes, Montana feels the best.
Okay. So what do you feel like might be stopping you from just going for it?
Well, one, I have an established business and my friends and my family in Portland. I love Portland. I love living here and I'm really happy here. So there's that whole, you're comfortable and you're happy where you are. Then why do you want to move? So it's this inner thing that's speaking to me about moving. So that's where I'm a little conflicted. I love it here, but there's also this voice saying, hey, what about Montana?
I hear you. And it's interesting. I get pictures that come to mind when people talk. It's not always like direct messages. And so sometimes there's a little interpretation process that I have to work through because pictures are worth 1,000 words, and it's picking the right ones. But it's interesting what comes to mind when you're talking about staying in Portland is a drooping plant, whereas moving, that same plant comes to life. It's almost like I get the impression that it's like, yes, this has been the right spot, but like many plants, they need bigger pots sometimes. And it's that process of, okay, how long do you wait to transplant, literally, and move into the next level of being able to expand and expanding at the roots as well as everywhere else. So
yeah,
that's what came to my mind.
Yeah, I love how you put that as a plant, being transplanted, literally. You couldn't have chosen better words for that.
Yeah. And I know what it is. I love Portland myself. I was born and raised there. And it is someplace that it can feel hard to beat. You get every climate you want in a 2-hour drive, basically. But it really does. I get the impression that it's time. There's a transition, and it has been wonderful for you, but staying past that fruitfulness may shift on you.
Yeah. That's a very good point. And one positive thing about COVID is I used to see quite a few clients in person. And now, as we know, everything is online on Zoom or on the phone. So that kind of frees me up to do business wherever.
Yep. You would definitely be taking it with you. And, in many ways, even expanding it possibly. And there's a part, oh, that's interesting. So more pictures are coming to mind. You mentioned the possibility of meeting somebody as well. And I'm getting a picture of a guy with a great big belt buckle. So I'm wondering if there's a connection with somebody you may meet where you land.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Well, that's encouraging. Yay. I don't know how I feel about big belt buckles, but
Yeah, belt buckle and hat. That's interesting. I actually,
That is interesting.
I don't know if it's, and sometimes it's not literal. They can be symbolic pictures. So it may not actually be what he's wearing. I don't know. It may just be a symbolic of, that happens more in that particular state than it certainly does in Oregon. So
yes,
you can take it either way and just be open to whatever that might mean. But I do get the sense that there's a connection there somehow between your location and the person coming into your life.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't.
So do you have any recommendations on the time, or how do I just pick everything? Should I just go on a road trip and find a spot, or?
timing. That's a little bit fuzzier for me, to be honest. But I'm getting kind of the sense sometime in the next year-ish.
Okay.
There's a lot of it that's really up to you and what works for you in terms of actually making that transition. But to keep the thriving energy going, it really is something that would be, yeah, at least within the next year, even if not a little bit sooner. It's what you're comfortable with, and they'll work with you and support you. Your guides and your community and everybody will certainly work with you and support you, however that looks for you. But sitting and waiting too long, that thriving energy is going to start shifting.
Just like a drooping plant. Yep, exactly.
That's what keeps coming to mind.
I love that visual.
Yeah. Well, it's like, when a plant has been in the pot long, and, it starts out thriving. But eventually that soil is just not as rich anymore, and it's pulled everything out of it that it can. And it's really, Portland has been amazing for you. And it's kind of at that point of just needing some freshening up.
Yeah. Thank you for that reassurance. That's exactly what I'm feeling too. So yeah. Do you see anything, because it's been quite a while since I've been in a relationship, and so do you see that there's anything like blocking me from finding the new dude, as I like to call him, the new dude, and
I love that.
Anything energetically or
I love that. And Dude Ranch is a thing. So that,
Oh, that's good. We have a lot of play on words today.
Yes, indeed. I do that a lot anyway, so it's not a surprise. It's how things come through too. Let's see. It's interesting because when you mention blocks, what I'm seeing is like bricks. That there are some, how am I saying it? It's not a full fence. It's not, but there are there's some things you've built up around you to protect yourself a bit. And it's little, it's not big. It's not like you've walled yourself in, you're still open, but it's in front of you. I'm trying to get a sense of what that might be. Do you have a sense of if there's a fear or concern or...
Well, if I would have to guess, what it is, honestly, my past two husbands, I've been married before, and both of them have passed away. One when he was 30, and then the last one when he was 50. So clearly I know that has to have some sort of effect on me.
Of course, yeah. And is totally understandable. But like you said, I'm getting an image of like you under a tree with just a few little bricks in front of you, but you're welcome to, it would be easy to just get up and walk around them. It's not something that's really blocking you. It's more of a perception of being blocked, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. Yeah. And also that visual makes it seem so easy, just get up and move, Renee. Here we go again on the words.
There might be a theme.
Yes, there might be.
Yeah, sometimes when we stay in the same spot too long, it gets a little bit too comfortable.
Yeah.
Just getting up and moving. I mean, I get the image of like it's a bright, beautiful day. It's, really simple and easy. It's just a matter of choosing to do it. So,
Yeah, that's really good. Are there any other things that you see about the new dude that might give me some hints? I love the belt buckle and the hat. That's really great.
oh, I'm wondering if he might be connected with a ranch in some way, because what comes to mind is, yeah, he's leading a horse.
Okay.
Um, and again, sometimes it's symbolic, leading a horse to water comes to mind. But let's see, I'm not sure. I'm not sure really how to interpret that. And maybe it has more meaning for you, or maybe it'll be something that when the time comes, it'll make sense.
Always in the back of my mind, there's been this idea about running like a dude ranch, but like a spiritual retreat dude ranch, more so than, what we have our ideas of a traditional dude ranch. So that's interesting that you say that. It's always kind of been out there as an idea.
Hmm. It
Mm-hmm.
it might be time to explore that a little bit more, or when you get there, just kind of be open to the possibilities. It doesn't mean it needs to happen. It's not something necessarily to push for. Um, but I kind of get the impression it's more being open to allowing it in. Um,
Mm.
that's an interesting. So that's interesting. So I'm seeing a picture of you, and there's energy that's coming into your heart as well as being expressed from it simultaneously. Um, and the first is allowing it all in so that it can, I want to say, circulate back out again. So there's the allowing that has to come first.
Yeah. Which makes complete sense because I haven't even really allowed myself to dream. And as a manifester using law of attraction, clearly I know the steps, and the first one, identifying what you want, and dreaming and imagining it for all the feels. And when you're talking about allowing, I haven't even allowed myself to do that yet, to take the first
Mm,
step.
mm.
So that's good feedback.
So how come you might be stopping yourself?
Well, I think one of the things is COVID, this past year, because I felt this past year, but it's a little tough, and I'm not sure I want to move in the middle of a pandemic. I know that could be an excuse. I understand that. And then the other thing that you brought up before is I have a very, very comfortable life here. And sometimes comfort can be, a really appealing thing. And to leave my comfort, not that my comfort's going away, but the comfort that as I know it now, and then packing up and moving with my dog to a place where I don't know one person, it's a little scary.
Mm-hmm. And absolutely understandably so. I mean, you're
Yeah.
human like the rest of us. Like that's a big leap.
Yes.
Fair enough. So what might be a couple of things you can do for you while you're still in Portland to start bridging, um, start creating a bridge for yourself?
Well, one of the things that I recently has happened in the last few days, so once again, no coincidences that we're talking about this right now,
Right.
is I found this show on TV, and I think it's called Big Sky Living, and it's almost like a House Hunters, but for Montana. So it's been kind of nice while we're quarantined to be able to watch people, explore different cities in Montana and different homes and that sort of a way. So I think that's the baby step of opening up my dreaming. Like, oh, this is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, houses aren't as expensive there as they are in Portland. Oh,
Houses aren't expensive most of the United States compared to Portland. There's
so true.
California, New York, and Seattle might have us beat, but yeah, Portland's Portland thinks highly of itself, especially being right downtown where you are. So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Well, and I'm getting the impression there might be some ways if you set the intention or started reaching out, or maybe even exploring on Facebook or other communities, that there are people you might know actually already there or could
That's
meet
a
in the
really good
meantime.
point. Yeah, that's a great idea. I hadn't even thought about it on social media. That's
Mm.
great.
Oh, everybody's connected on social media somewhere.
Yes. Yes. I have quite a few clients that are realtors. And now, as I'm thinking about it, I know 3 of them live in Montana. I don't know why it didn't even enter my head to maybe, talk to them a little bit and perhaps set up a time to go meet them.
Well, that's a wonderful bridge. Not only is it somebody you know, but they can help you find a location and things that you want. And I love the idea of the TV show helping you dream and creating some of the visuals and, getting a feel for what you want that way. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Very cool. Well, are there any other questions or things that come up?
the only other thing, and I'm not sure if this is your area of expertise, but I thought since we're on here, I might as well ask about it.
Sure.
Is my shoulder and the whole left side of my body has been a little bit sore and tender, and there really hasn't been anything that's happened that no, I haven't fallen down or anything like that that is apparent that I've injured it that way. So I just wanted to once again see if, because a lot of injuries and your body hurting, as we know, has to do with other things, other energetic things or beliefs that we can choose differently. So is that something that you can have any insight into?
I've never been asked about anything like that before. So this is totally new to me as well. So I'll say that up front. The image that comes to mind is a hammer.
Oh.
And I'm not quite sure what that might be about. So I know sometimes one of the ways to get more information is sort of to tune in and feel it and just ask that part of your body. Is that something you have tried and gotten any information?
No, I have not tried that yet. So, okay. But I'm definitely going to do that as soon as we hang up. So.
Yeah, and I know how, just knowing you. So yeah, I would highly recommend just tuning into that and just ask that part of your body what's going on, what does it need, what is it trying to tell you. all of those kinds of things. But yeah, I just keep seeing a hammer and almost like leather work going on.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to interpret that or what it might mean. And I guess that's the trick with some of like, okay, what do I do with that? I don't know. But that's what's coming to mind. So hopefully if it does at some point make sense to you, I would love the feedback so I can get a feel for some of this too. Because
it's one of those things that, in a couple days it'll be like, well, of course the hammer makes sense. Yes.
Right. Exactly. And I know, like we talked about before, and I've been sharing on a couple of episodes already, like channeling has been part of my life. I just haven't been as open about it or tuned into it because I blocked a lot of it out. So it's always been there, and I'm still learning how to, I want to say, interpret it and work with it in a more deliberate fashion. So I appreciate your patience with me as much as the whole thing. But yeah, that's the only image that's coming to mind. It's kind of fascinating. So yeah, if something does come up and that makes sense, I hope you'll let me know. I would love to know.
I absolutely will let you know. Yes. Well, you have been very right on with everything else. And I really pay attention to words. And so I think it's really cool that so many of the things that you said today about being replanted and transplanted and it just really struck me. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights with me.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad they're helpful. And I just so appreciate you being willing to support me in this process by being here and being open to, whatever shows up. So that's really cool. I appreciate it very much. So,
well, thank you, Lori.
Absolutely. Well, and for listeners, if you or a woman you know has a question or would appreciate some insight or even some mentoring, please do reach out. My website is loriannrising.com. And hopefully while you're there, please sign up for my newsletter as well. There's going to be special announcements coming up and more information for just those who are on the list. So sign up. And until next time, my friends, keep rising.